Hello, bros. We're back with The World of Keane by Walter Keane, the late painter who, it is claimed, never painted any of his original works. At least any of his famous, popular ones, like this one. Apparently, his wife painted them, but we don't know for sure. Chapter 8, if I can get to it. Oh, that's right, I need a book underneath this. Maybe two. And this. 8. Chapter 8. Mai Ling and Hong Kong. Isn't Mai Ling the chick that John Lennon hung out with? Maybe not. Maybe that was Mei Ling. Some months later, I did return to California, but not to Barbara. Though we would always remain loving friends, we both realized that our marriage had become a relationship of mere convenience. I spent several days a month at our Berkeley home, while Barbara was at the university. Susan and I painted together in my studio or in the garden. Often we attended the ballet or went to the theater. Once the housekeeper who cared for Susan asked, "Mr. Keene, why don't you come home? This is your home too. We miss you." I thanked her for her loyalty, thus avoiding the question, how could I answer? I will do no such thing. I hope your brother has a terrible birthday. Like and subscribe, though. Now get the fuck out of here. While Barbara was at the university, Susan and I painted together. Oh, wait. I'm over here. During that time on the West Coast, I spent most of my time in my studio. Yeah, F you too. I agree, F me, but F you too. At least I don't go to your channel and beg for stupidity. Get out. During that time, during that time on the West Coast, I spent most of my time in my studio on the barge in Sausalito. Ah, see you around, bro. Have a great time. Eileen reappeared between modeling assignments. Once again, we set up housekeeping together. She satisfied my every need and even helped me to recruit models for my paintings. On one occasion, we spent 5 days on Grant Avenue in San Francisco so I could observe and sketch the Chinese children there. While I was working, Eileen brought me coffee, or sometimes whiskey, with ice in a soda can. San Francisco's Chinatown, I was seeing only the Chinese American children, who were well fed and loved. They lacked the waif like qualities that had inspired me. That had inspired me. In Europe, I needed to paint the real thing. I flew to Hong Kong. A longtime friend who worked for the wire service to China arranged the rental of an apartment for me. It was elegant, off white carpets and draperies, a 7-foot sofa, a king size bed, and a round tub big enough for 3 or 4 persons. Also, according to instructions, my friend had contracted a housekeeper for the duration of my 2 month stay. Her name was Mai Ling. Having arrived 4 years earlier from Peking with her mother and brother, she and her family had learned to survive in Hong Kong. A delicate, charming girl about 20 years old, Mai Ling had perfect white teeth, a lovely mouth, a golden tanned skin. She stood a slender 5 feet 6 inches tall. Long black hair reached nearly to her waist, accentuating her large dark eyes. I was immediately impressed by her poise, and her ability to speak English. She had attended college for a year to learn the new language. The Brooks on the table. Hmm, where was I? Mylene greeted me by reading from the special instructions my friend had left for her. The first thing he tells me to do is 1. Serve you and Mr. Chang a drink. Chavaz Regal for you on the rocks in a long stem glass and ask Mr. Chang what he would like to drink. 2. Run a hot tub for you and wash your back. 3. Fold back your bed and massage you until you fall asleep, since you would have had a very long trip and would be tired. At last, Mr. Green said, to do whatever you wish after that. I will please you, Mr. Keane. My Ling followed her directions to the letter. She brought me Chavaz Regal, I don't know how to say that, scotch on the rocks in a tall glass. Mr. Chang stood up and said, I would like to make a toast. Welcome to Hong Kong, Mr. Keane. Mr. Green was called away and asked me to meet your flight, and bring you to the apartment. Now I must return to the office. I'll leave you my card should you need to reach me. I thanked Mr. Chang and walked him to the door while Mai Ling prepared a hot bath for me. As she massaged me, she asked, Mr. Keane, you like I lie beside you and keep you warm? Half asleep, I replied, another time. Apparently, no agreement had been made about whether Mai Ling would live in or out. It appeared that the arrangement was open, and the decision had been left to me. After a much needed sleep, I awakened to find her with a tray of orange juice, toasted English muffins with honey, and a pot of coffee ready for me. You sleep well, yes, Mr. Keane. Yes, very well. Mai Ling had things all hung up, or in the dresser. She added, I sleep on the floor beside your bed in case you needed anything in the night. I am here to please you. After she showed me around the apartment in more detail, including the small maid's room, I asked Mai Ling, would you like to sleep in the little room while I'm visiting here? I'll sleep wherever you want me to sleep, Mr. Keane. I told her that I wanted to take a walk around Hong Kong. When she volunteered to come with me, I said maybe another time. Soon I found myself wandering up and down the streets and alleys, going into shops of every kind, shirt shops, tailor shops, everything. After several hours, I entered a British type pub and ordered a draft beer and sat on a stool by an open window, looking on the street. Twice I called out Mai Ling, thinking the girl who had just passed was she. On my second call, someone came up behind me and said, Mr. Keane, how did you know I was here? Laughing, I said, oh, Mai Ling, where did you come from? I've been following you since you left the apartment. Why? I questioned her. Mr. Green told me to keep an eye on you so you would not get into trouble. I invited Mai Ling to join me. She was so fresh and lovely. I looked into her beautiful, dark, expressive Oriental eyes and said, you come all the way from Big China to Hong Kong? She nodded her head. I said I came to Hong Kong for the purpose of seeing these lost, starving children who migrated to Hong Kong from all parts of China. I want to paint these children. Where are they? Where do I find them? She explained that they lived in shanties, houseboats, or any place they could lay their heads just outside the city. When can we go? I asked. Mr. Keane, this is your first day here. And Mr. Green, say you should rest a few days before you get engrossed in your work. How about lunch then? There's a great hotel Charlie told me about where he eats often. I invited her. Those restaurants are for tourists and also very expensive. Please, I show you best Chinese cooking, little money. As we left the pub, she added, if you would like to have a cashmere suit made, I know a good tailor, little money, and a shirt shop too. It seemed that I had found an expert on all things in Hong Kong. Mai Ling knew the city like the palm of her hand. After 2 days of rest, I expressed the need to visit the Chinese refugee camp, explaining to her that I wanted to study the children who had most recently arrived. I asked her to buy 20 combs and 10 bars of soap to take with us. In answer to my question about how much money to pay the child models, she replied that a few pennies for each would be sufficient. For the first and only time, I disregarded Mai Ling's advice. Asking her to change a $20 bill for 20 singles, I said resolutely, "We will give each child a dollar bill and a new comb." "What about the soap?" she said. "That is for the mothers," I answered. We arrived early, around 8, and I worked all day with the children. I was astonished. The Chinese children flowing into Hong Kong from mainland China were not starving or gaunt like the Berlin children. It was the parents who were depleted, malnourished, and ill. They gave all the food to their children and starved themselves so their children might live. The children had problems because they were unclean. Otherwise, they appeared strong, healthy, and happy in their deplorable living conditions. The Wong family had 5 children. I used 4 of them in a group drawing of the 4 children. 2 girls, 2 boys. Ting was the oldest, and her name means graceful, beautiful. Lone, the oldest boy's name, means dragon. Moon, the younger girl's name, meant just that, moon. And then there was Ming, the youngest boy, whose name means bright. There they are. These children were typical of the hordes of refugees that poured out of Red China into Hong Kong during the late 40s and 50s. I found them strikingly different from the war waifs of Berlin. They were cleaner and warmly clad, and most notably well fed. The reason? They were not orphans. They had parents who denied themselves all the necessary things so that their children could be fed and clothed, but most of all loved. The parents themselves were the ones in need of food and aid. One similarity I did notice was the child mother. In the Orient, once a child is able to stand on its own 2 feet, it automatically becomes a babysitter and totter of the smaller siblings. Before we realized that we had spent 4 weeks in the refugee camp, after my initial observations and sketches, I began painting the children. Mai Ling and I took food and clothing to their parents. While I painted, she cooked and helped the mothers with their offspring. Once again, I had been fortunate enough to find a woman who not only encouraged my work, but also facilitated it greatly. One night when we arrived home from the camp, Mei Ling said she was tired. "Mr. Keane, I am exhausted. May I take a nap and cook dinner later?" She went into her little room and collapsed. It was the first time I had drawn my own bath in Hong Kong. After a good sleep, I awakened about 10. While I was in the kitchen making tea, I heard Mei Ling call. "I'll be there in a minute to cook." "You look rested and beautiful, Mei Ling. I'll take you out to dinner." We did the town, first at the pubs, then back down a dark alley, where we were welcomed and served a great dinner of crab. After dinner, we returned to the dance club until 2 in the morning. When we didn't have a drink in our hands, we were in each other's arms dancing. All the way home, we laughed and sang. Mai Ling drew up a bath when we arrived. Then she brought me a whiskey. Laughing, she said, "I put 3 spoons of whiskey in a glass of water for me." She said suddenly while washing my back, "I feel a little dizzy." With that, she fell over my head into the water, half inebriated. As she removed her only clothing, her bra and panties, she giggled and said, "I'm so happy. Just the 2 of us in this big tub." And off went her bra and panties into the air. Refugees. I helped Mei Ling out of the tub and wiped her off. She ran from the bathroom. I dried my wet body, turned off the lights, and got into my bed, only to find Mei Ling there nude and fast asleep. I lay quietly beside her so as not to awaken her. Soon I was asleep as well. Neither of us remembered to draw the shade, so we were awakened at an early hour by the sun. We were lying in each other's arms. I kissed her lips for a long time, caressing her breasts, body, and legs with my hands. Her entire body came alive as if tingling and quivering. As she held me, her body moved with the rhythm of the French ballerina. Afterwards, we fell asleep again in each other's arms, awaking again about noon. After a passionate kiss, she said, "Darling, Walter." Until that moment, she had not called me by my first name. As I viewed her jumping out of bed nude, I recalled my youth and watching the snowflakes falling. My grandmother told me people can be compared to snowflakes. No two are ever the same. Ah, I agree. How this apples to women, I thought. How this applies to women, I thought, pardon. Apples. Later on the balcony, we sipped coffee and munched on rolls, mailing an intimate relationship I don't need. I told her of Colette in Paris and that one day I would return to her. She said, "Walter, be glad we can have this time together. Let's enjoy each other to the fullest while you are here. And when I am gone, what will you do?" I was concerned. She didn't answer me for several minutes and said, "Walter, mine is a sad story. I do not search for trouble. It's too easy to come by. Doesn't matter what high ideas we may have for ourselves. You are worthy of my time and love. I don't give it freely. But we have been together over a month, and in another you may be gone. I've known of this since your arrival. My mother told me, happy is the woman who goes the way of her heart, and my heart wants to love you in every way. In your bed this day I have gone the way of my heart. I want to share your bed until you wave goodbye to me. Only then will the tears flow. In my heart, I'm glad I've been able to please you and bring you happiness in our togetherness. Should you ever return, I will want an advance notice of approximately 3 minutes, time enough to draw our bath. We kissed, and Mei Ling continued to talk. "Walter, you are kind to me. You are kind to the Chinese children whom you paint. You bring them food and money, but more important, you bring them hope through your love and understanding. You are beautiful, warm, thoughtful, and generous in every fiber of your being." Much better than I could have, Mei Ling verbalized the special partnership we now enjoyed. Our days and nights together were full of work, companionship, passion, and love. Mei Ling's favorite was shopping at Mr. Wong's dress shop. If she saw a dress that she especially liked, she tried it on. Sometimes I would purchase it for her. On other occasions, she would continue to look for just the right garment. One day, after buying a seductive blue silk, I suggested that we have a drink at our favorite pub. Mei Ling replied, "I'll join you in a while, Walter. Do you mind if I stay here for a little while, for a little longer and look some more? I love this place. How I would love to work in a store like this." "Just take your time, my love," I answered. I never forgot Mei Ling's fascination with clothes and her keen sense of style. When we made brief trips to Bombay, India, and to Bangkok, Thailand, I noted that she was intrigued by the differences among the fabrics and designs used in these countries and those in Hong Kong. Again, I marveled at her ability and desire to learn about anything in which she was truly interested. However, in total, these trips were not enjoyable for Mei Ling. Bangkok was uncomfortably warm. Departing from the plane's air cooled cabin, we were greeted with a burst of sweltering, humid air. From sunup until sunset, I was on the streets and alleys and alleyways drawing and painting the children. There were times Mei Ling resigned herself to sitting in a cold tub of water until my return. Upon returning to Hong Kong, I decided that it would be a good time to set an exhibition of my paintings in the best hotel in the city. I asked Mei Ling if she would assist me. She willingly agreed, even though she knew that her hours would be long and arduous. I assured her that we would eat our meals in restaurants, so neither of us would have to cook. How long is this damn chapter? Maybe I am going to only read one. Together we arranged the exhibition of paintings. During the first 5 days, 7 of my works were purchased. Mei Ling was a charming hostess and saleslady in the hotel, often for 15 hours daily. I spent most of my time on the streets or in our apartment painting. The rigorous routine was a complete change from our leisurely days. One afternoon, on my way to the hotel to relieve Mei Ling, I decided to stop at the little dress shop she liked and got her a surprise. When I arrived, I found it closed. After making inquiry, I learned that the owner, Mr. Wong, had died. I discovered that his widow was elderly and could not run the business. I visited her nearby and asked her plans for the store. She told me that she was forced by circumstances to sell it or take a partner who could run it. I had just the partner for her, I told her, a charming young lady, and I would return within an hour. I ran down the street to the hotel and was puffing for breath when Mei Ling saw me and greeted me with a big hug. I said, "Hurry. Let's get a taxi. I'll tell you about it on the way." "I can't leave the lobby and the paintings," Mei Ling exclaimed. I went to the desk clerk and the bellboys and the doorman and said, "Mei Ling will be gone no more than 2 hours. If you see anyone coming out carrying one of my paintings, call the police." We hurried into a taxi. "Walter, what is all the excitement about?" "It's your future, your new world. It is here." Looking into her lovely eyes and holding her close to me, I said, "Dear, beautiful Mei Ling, you always told me how you enjoyed the little dress shop of Mr. Wong's and that one day you would like to work there. You will be working there. The dress shop is going to be yours." "Mine, Walter?" She looked puzzled. "Are you all right?" "Yes, darling, I've never been better." We arrived at Mrs. Wong's home. As we stood outside waiting for her, I explained about Mr. Wong's death and that the store was for sale. Mei Ling and I discussed our approach. I told her that we should inventory all the merchandise, check the value, ask her for the bottom price. We decided that after tea had been served, we should offer Mrs. Wong one half of her price for two-thirds of the business. I told Mei Ling, if she questions you too long or seems not to agree, say, "Mrs. Wong, it's all cash." After I knocked on her door and a servant had let us in, I introduced her, saying, "Mrs. Wong, this is Mrs. Mei Ling, the young lady who is interested in buying your store. Please sit down. This is my bookkeeper. He has an inventory of the merchandise in the store and our cost price, less 12% for a few older style, slow moving items. And also, there is a list of the furniture and fixtures and their depreciated book value. Everything combined will be $12,000. She offered tea, and when it was served, she told us of the years Mr. Wong was in the business and of the comfortable living they had made from it. "Madame Wong," Mei Ling said in a low voice after about 40 minutes, "I am very interested in your shop. I have been a customer of your husband's and am well acquainted with your operation. I would like to be your partner. I will give you $6,000 for 25% of the business." Not a sound. Then more tea was offered. I said, "Oh, yes, more tea." In another 20 minutes, Miss Wong said, "I will have to think about it." In a raised voice, Mei Ling said, "It is $6,000 cash." "Cash. There is nothing to think about." Mrs. Wong excused herself from the room. While she and her bookkeeper were gone, more tea was served. Mei Ling said, "Walter, the paintings. I must get back to the hotel." Mrs. Wong returned and said, 8,000 for 75%. Mei Ling said, "Mrs. Wong, I am a worker. I will build the business up through hard work and long hours. One day your 25% will net you more than you're getting now." Mrs. Wong answered, "All right, I will accept the $6,000 as you offered. When will you pay the money?" I stepped forward and said, "You will have the papers ready at 11 tomorrow morning, and Mei Ling will be here with the cash and to sign the purchase agreement. For now, we will prepare a note of memorandum, and you too will sign it. I will give you $600 as a deposit, and the balance will be paid tomorrow." We left. Everybody appeared happy and pleased. We arrived back at the hotel. All the paintings were still hanging. Mei Ling Ting said, "Walter, I love the store, but the money, where will it come from?" "The gentleman is asking about a painting, Mei Ling. Please take care of him. With that, I went into the bar for a whiskey. I could see Mei Ling wrapping up the painting for the man. With great excitement, she came into the bar to announce the sale and asked, "May I please have 4 spoons of scotch in my glass?" We had 2 drinks together. It was nearly 8 o'clock in the evening. I said to Mei Ling, "Please have the bellboys help you put the paintings in the manager's office. We are closing down early tonight. We are going to celebrate." On our way to dinner at our favorite pub, we walked by Mr. Wong's store with great joy. I said to her, "We will put up a sign saying Mei Ling's store." "Oh, Walter, I'm so excited, but where will the money come from?" "For now, it's a secret. I'll tell you when we are in bed tonight." My darling, now you have a small taste of how life can be with a painter. An artist can appear to be the bon vivant playboy type, running around about town for days on end. Then he must disappear, become a recluse, and do his work. His lady is lonely unless she can occupy herself with something constructive to do. I did several drawings and paintings in Bombay, Bangkok, and many in Hong Kong. Now, with your talent and charm, we have sold 8 of them. Looking directly into her eyes, I said, "Your share of our sales in the hotel is $6,000. She shouted for the first time, "There was no agreement that I be paid for anything except being your housekeeper. I will not accept it." "You will," I replied firmly. There were tears in her eyes when she replied, "If I accept, it will be on the condition that you will be my silent partner." I asked her how she knew so much about business. She replied, "My father was a merchant and active in the underground movement in Peking. One day they came and took him away. The store was locked up and later looted. We never saw my father again, nor could we learn what happened to him. As a child, we lived in the back of my father's store. I grew up in the clothing business, learning to design, sew, and sell to the customers. My father had a little of the money each day, hid a little of the money each day. That is the money my mother, brother, and I lived on in China during the time we were trying to get to Hong Kong. Mother was a beautiful and gracious lady, but frail. Some days she never got out of bed. She, my brother, and I were taken by a friend to the outskirts of Peking, where we lived for over 2 years trying to get passage to Hong Kong. Mother had several diamonds and pearls which she sold or traded along the way. People had greater trust in jewels than in currency. Many times we were in great danger. Mother paid with her jewels or her body to please them. On several occasions, she hid me in boxes or bags, cautioning me to never make a sound. Once, when I was hiding, I heard her screaming. It was nearly morning when it was quiet again. I crawled out of the box and went to her. She had been beaten, her clothing torn from her body. Mother moaned. There were 5 of those monsters. She gave her life to assure safe passage for my brother and me to get to Hong Kong. Time can never change the memory. Mei Ling, your new life will be your store. Never again will you work as a housekeeper, I said. Walter, my demands are so small. I enjoy being your housekeeper. She laughed and added, "And the lady of your bed. Oh, Walter, I love you." I put my arms round her and said, "I feel that way too." Within 10 days, Mei Ling's name was on the door of her store. She had a written agreement with Mrs. Wong that she would receive 25% of the profit, with the stipulation that Mei Ling had an option to buy out Mrs. Wong's remaining interest in 2 years for an additional $4,000. Mei Ling and I had a gentleman's agreement that we were partners. I placed an additional $2,000 in the bank as working capital. She said, "I'll pay the account 5% interest on any money our store uses." "As you like, president and general manager of Mei Ling's store," I said to her and thought, "Wow, how wild. And she is only 20 years old. A very capable girl." Knowing I would be leaving for Tahiti soon, I made a special point of celebrating every night while our store was being painted and new merchandise was being acquired. We had a beautiful relationship. In our bed that night, lying with her head on my pillow, her tender body close to mine, she looked into my eyes and words came from her soft lips. Walter, the past 5 years have been a near living hell for me. Embracing her, I spoke quietly. My darling, each of us creates his own heaven and his own hell. Mei Ling, you're now in a position to add dignity and independence to your life. I paused a moment, then added, Darling, there is something that would please me. She responded, Have I ever let you down? When I shook my head no, she said, Walter, anything you want, I'm here to please you. Thank you, partner. I held her a little closer. You remember the five Wang children, their son Lone and daughter Ting in particular? She said, Yes, I know who they are. Could you or would you take them into the store and train them so that they can earn a little money to buy food and clothing for their mother and three younger brothers and sisters? She did not answer me then. The next morning, however, I awakened late to find that Mei Ling had left the apartment earlier and returned. While we were having coffee, she said, When you were sleeping, I got the permit for Lone and Ting Wang to work in Mei Ling's store. Oh, Walter, I do love the name of the shop. Almost as ecstatic as she, I replied, Thank you, sweetheart, for the Wang family and for me. I know that Mei Ling's days would soon be totally consumed with her business. I had every confidence that her intelligence, poise, and common sense about business would pay off for her financially and fulfill her emotionally. It was again time for me to move on. As difficult as it was for me to leave, I felt better with the knowledge that one precious Chinese woman had a safe and productive means of earning her livelihood. That's great. All right, that's all.